Yes, greetings, and you most welcome to this episode of Community Voices on Civic Space TV. I am Phillip Muliisa. I welcome you all in this conversation where today we look at the capital city of the Republic of Uganda, and to be specific, one of the hottest conversations around the capital city is the sacking of three top leaders from the leadership of the Kampala Capital City Authority. That is the now former executive director, Mrs. Dorothy Kisaka, her deputy, Engineer Luimbazi David, and the former director of public health, that is Mr. Okello Daniel. Now, that comes that affected the sacking of the three individuals is in relation to investigations by the Inspectorate of Government relating to the tragic incident at Kiteezi, that is in Kasangati Town Council, where we lost, according to police, 34 individuals. The allegations that many more other people are still buried in that debris and they cannot be found at the moment, maybe in the future, but also over 300 people were displaced. We have property destroyed, houses, animals killed, road infrastructure damaged, drainage channels blocked, and we had a lot of challenges that came with that incident. So today on this conversation, we did talk about that incident, where we are now, but also looking at assessing the deepness of the response process and what the sacking of the three individuals means for the city, but also for the individuals themselves, a picture of what the city should look like in the near future, but also for sustainability in the future. Thank you so much for joining for the conversation. I will take an engagement in terms of you talking to us about yourselves and where you are. It's usually here we talk about where we are and briefs of our environment. Like now for me, I have in my first sight, I can see Zambia Hill, and out here it's quite cloudy. I think we shall have a bit of rain later in the day, but it's rather cloudy and business is moving as usual in the city here, Kampala, where I'm based. I will invite, let me start with Madam Nyaribi. Madam Nyaribi, you're most welcome. Greetings, and how is Mbale, and what can we know about your particular location now?
Yeah, thank you very much, moderator. Good morning, everyone. By name's Rhoda Nyaribi Mayoka, a Principal Environment Officer working with Mbale City. And I must say I'm very delighted to once again be here and also be able to share everybody. Right now in Mbale, actually, Mbale is quite peaceful where we are. I am seated in the confines of my office here at Mbale City on Republic Street. And looking around, the weather is actually quite friendly. It is shining, it is warm. We have not had rain in the past few days, just a few drizzles. So it's quite comfortable right now in Mbale and peaceful. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nyaribi Rhoda, and thank you for the update about Mbale City. Very important to note it's peaceful. That's one key element of any city, and indeed progress and development. Mr. Arikos Peter, greetings, welcome to the show, and how is Kaberamaido?
Thank you so much. Kaberamaido is fine. We're doing fine. Actually, Kaberamaido is a district that is 75 something kilometers away from Soroti. It is quite sunny. Generally, the situation here is calm, and everyone out there is actually everyone is doing what they are meant to do. The business people, I can see the border community as well in their stage. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be in this show and program, the community show. And we hope that what we shall share will be for the benefit of all of us.
Thank you so much, Mr. Arikos Peter. Mr. Arikos is the Assistant Resident District Commissioner for Kaberamaido District. We're happy to have you. Zira, you can hear me. Greetings. Welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you
Zira.
very much. Yeah, I can hear. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm really excited to be part of this show. Yeah, here in Kampala, I'm in Kampala as well. All is well, business normal as usual.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we can't wait to hear more from you. And last but not least is Mr. Herbert Anderson Burora. Mr. Burora, former Deputy RCC, Rubaga, and I know now perhaps this is the place to break the news on where he's going to be doing the politics from, because a few days ago we saw an announcement from him telling us how he's going into elective politics. Mr. Anderson, greetings. You're most welcome. Mr. Burora, are you able to hear me? I think Mr. Anderson has some technical challenges, but certainly he should be joining once again. I think his connection has gone off, but we wait to pick him once again, and we can go on with the conversation. As he joins, we shall start with the conversation. I'll start with you, Mr. Peter Arikos. I know you are in Kaberamaido, and here we are, Kampala as the capital city of this country. Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Anderson. That's again, Mr. Anderson, greetings. You're most welcome, and thank you for being here. I was telling these ladies and gentlemen here that I just made an announcement that you're joining elective politics, and I hope maybe this can be the platform where you actually break more of that by telling us where and what we should expect. Thank you for joining us, and greetings.
Thank you. And greetings to everyone, my sister from Mbale and my brother from, is it also Greater Karamoja or Greater Teso?
It is Greater Teso.
Greater Teso.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the work, and greetings. I don't think, Philip, I will be able to discuss my candidature here, as I'll be unveiling the details sometime to come. But all you should know is that I am in the trenches, and I'm making sure that everything goes well.
Thank you so much for that. And I think I should, I know, Mr. Arikos, you say you have a few minutes with us, but we shall see how we balance that out. Friends, on the 10th of August 2024, tragedy befell this city when the landfill, the garbage landfill at Kiteezi, that is in Pasangati Town Council, Wakiso District, had what we call a slide, and it's leading to residential areas and to business areas. As we speak, police talks of 34 deaths, talks of about 300 displacements, talks of millions of property destroyed, and many other things that were affected, including drainage systems, transport networks, and many other. A lot has been said about how warnings were there to stop this tragedy from happening, and how there was no money for that particular activity. But if I start with you, Mr. Burora, since you were very active in the city as Deputy RCC, what is your view about such a tragedy happening in the capital city of this country, Uganda? And what is your assessment of the entire management of waste in the city?
Well, I think there is no opinion that can say that what happened was acceptable. No amount of apology can amount to the lives lost. No amount of explanation that can make one understand of the properties lost. The future of women were made widows, men were made widowers, children were made orphans, people were made hopeless, homeless, so many things, their careers, people who had gotten out of poverty, dramatically and tragically got back their lives into rubbles. So literally, there is no explanation or opinion that can be shaped to explain what happened in Kiteezi. And it is actually an explanation of so many unaccountable events that happen in the city. And if you are to account to all of them, you realize that we are in losses that we can never recover in our lifetime. So many years lost in development, in what. So at the moment, what we need to focus on are the lessons learned. Whatever has happened, I think we have gathered, we have discussed it all over. Everyone has talked about it. We have heard the excuses, the explanations, the justifications, and everything. There is nothing that is yet to be discussed. What is at the forefront now should be, what are the lessons learned? How do we prevent this from happening again? How do leaders, how do public and civil servants take themselves accountable on such things, and who takes the responsibility? But also, most importantly, the actions of the president yesterday also informed us that he can fix a few things if he wanted, and that he can fight all of these bad issues that are happening to the public if he chose to. So at the moment, we have learned so many lessons. Waste management remains a mayhem, remains a ministry, and how do we go about it? Still, you can see that KCCA is not still looking for adding value or generating things that can consume this waste. They are still looking at places to pipe. That shows you how still backward they are. They still want to feel. They are not looking at efforts to make sure that they generate ideas that can consume. They are not showing you how they are moving, that the population is growing. They have failed to get 150 acres that are vacant where they can dump. They still think they can get such spaces. But you need a few spaces where you can put a factory or where you can put technology that can turn waste into consumable goods, like fertilizers, like electricity, like so many other products that come out of waste. So we are still backward in terms of generating ideas that can come out as a solution. Instead of procuring this big land to fill, you would be creating a law instructing these bottling companies or companies that produce these plastics to buy them back when they are out of use. For example, plastic bottles. Create a law instructing beer companies, instructing water companies, instructing all companies that produce these products that are filling up Kiteezi to buy them back for recycling, because they shouldn't be recycling problems for community. The community buys the product that is in their tins, that is in their containers or bottles. So who deals with their bottles? What do we do with them? If they don't have a solution for recycling themselves, how do you expect the consumers to have a solution? So some of these things lack ideas. We should be going to the law. We should be benchmarking. If you go to Germany, these companies actually put it even on the bottle. After use, you take it back, they give you back a few cents. They give you back a few shillings, for example, and they take back their bottles for recycling or for other use. So instead of looking for land in Kiteezi to go and run also to the legislative, go to parliament, go to KCCA, create laws that take back some of these things that are giving you. Be innovative. Just have to be innovative in how you are doing your stuff. And that will kinda lessen on your burden. Then put up something, Mbarara, all of where these areas products come from, put it there. That for Matoke to enter Kampala, they have to come when they are peeled. They come, you put on, you come up with the way of actually managing waste, reducing waste. You get it, making sure that the waste that comes into Kampala is waste that has little to do with spaces, with the decomposing, with the, like, littering, and spaces are manageable. But you can't have tons and tons of waste entering Kampala and you think you will have enough space to pile it or to keep it. It doesn't. Let's share the burden as a country. Let's share a burden as producers of waste. A farmer needs most of these as fertilizers, but they are sending fertilizers into waste and they are going to shops to buy fertilizers at the same time. Yet you have your fertilizers. So to me, we are still backward in generating ideas that can be able to help us in a few things, or the innovation, or applying technology, even logic. Okay, we don't have money to buy technology. How about logic? Why don't we come amongst ourselves and say, how do we bring these things together? So I think KCCA and the other people who are into this, they are looking for, they are not looking at, they are rudimentary in operation.
Thank you.
They are operating in the 19th century solutions for issues that are happening in 2024. So the issues, we are still getting more. If you are looking for land, you are using how much resources? How many trucks do you have that are going to travel 30 kilometers every day? They are traveling 30 kilometers. They are going to be mechanically broken. You are using fuel. You are using human resource. The cars need to be fixed. The roads are being worn out. All of those things, you are not counting them. But you are looking at, we want space to dump now. That is not more than 30 kilometers, 150 acres that are vacant. Where are you going to get them from? Just need to get back and put your heads to work.
Thank you so much, Mr. Burora, for that. And it's many important points you raised in that, and concerns that should be looked into by the leadership, but also the people themselves. Mr. Arikos, look, this is a tragedy that happened in the city of Kampala, and earlier you told us you are 75 kilometers from Soroti, which is also very many kilometers from Kampala. What lessons have you picked from the challenge that befell the capital city, and indeed what mechanisms have you worked out in the communities where you had to see that such a tragedy does not come to Kaberamaido and indeed the neighboring spaces, or perhaps you're just waiting for it to happen? Yes, Mr. Arikos.
Thank you so much. I have actually loved the ideas my seniors shared with us. We all know that the Kiteezi garbage scandal is a wake-up call for Uganda. We must address the systematic issues that led to this strategy. We must address the systematic issues that led to this strategy as we discuss the way forward. First of all, we need to focus on the solutions that prioritize accountability, transparency, and community engagement. We all know that the causes of this scandal are simply few: inadequate waste management, infrastructure, and lack of investment in sustainable solutions, just like our brothers shared with us. Corruption and mismanagement perpetuated by a lack of transparency and accountability. Insufficient community education and involvement in waste management. All of these are issues that actually led to that. And when we look at the decision by the president, it is a bold step towards accountability. But we must ensure it's not just a symbolic gesture. The president's action should be followed by comprehensive reforms to prevent similar scandals. This decision highlights the need for stronger institutions and oversight mechanisms. And the way forward for all of us, just like you've been asking, is to invest in modern waste management technologies. Our brothers already talked about this. We can invest in modern waste management technologies and infrastructure. Implement community-based waste management initiatives, promoting ownership and responsibility. And this is what our brothers just mentioned, that before the matoke is brought to Kampala, let it be peeled. That is actually implementing community-based waste management initiatives, promoting ownership, and then also responsibility for it. Because at the end of the day, the matoke pills can act as manure to the farmers in the villages. We must develop and enforce structure regulations and standards for waste disposal. We know that the KCCA must also have reforms, and that is we need to restructure the KCCA's leadership, which is already going to happen, and management to ensure accountability. And then we also need to implement transparent procurement processes and financial management, establish community-based community engagement mechanisms for feedback and participation. I am going to suggest a few solutions to this, and then I will also touch a few areas that I believe will actually be of importance. And one of the solutions I think that we must adopt as a country, KCCA must adopt, is to implement a waste to energy program to reduce waste and generate energy. If we implement a waste to energy program, we shall instead be generating electricity, and then develop public-private partnerships for waste management, infrastructure development. We must also launch a national waste management awareness campaign, which actually I've not seen it being done. I've not seen a lot of aggressiveness being put into this. The community involvements, we must involve our communities, establish community-led waste management initiatives, integrate the waste management education into schools. Because now, if we don't have this begin with our students, then we shall continue seeing people throw bottles from buses as they are traveling. We shall continue seeing those issues actually being a problem. We need to encourage community-based recycling programs. And then at last, accountability and transparency are crucial for effective governance of these issues. Community engagement is essential for sustainable waste management. Innovations, just like our brother said, we have very few ideas on how to do this. And yet we actually now need to borrow leads from how are the other countries managing these issues. And this takes us to innovations, and innovative solutions and investments are needed to address Ugandans' waste management challenges. I want to end this by saying that the Kiteezi garbage scandal presents an opportunity for a transformative change. Let's work together to create a more accountable, transparent, and sustainable waste management system for Uganda. Because at the end of the day, if we decide to adopt a bini program where communities adopt and maintain waste bins by themselves, I think it is also something that will reduce that stress factor that KCCA is having. If we have a community-led waste recycling initiatives, we can see how they can help in having those. I've seen a few people do the recycling initiatives, but we are not so, they are not actually so many. And then the art projects using recycled materials to raise awareness. And then lastly, school competitions for innovative waste management solutions. And we can see collaborations between local business and communities. I want to thank you, and I hope that what we've shared shall be looked into, and we hope our leaders that are responsible for this will not take this for granted, because there is no amount of such that can actually bring back the life that was lost. Just like my senior said, so much life was lost. Families most children were made orphans. Up to now, we still have missing lives. This is something that should have been stopped. This is something that the community should have been sensitized about. It actually took these people by surprise. And it is my prayer that the souls that we lost in this issue, in this scandal, actually rest in eternal peace. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Arikos. Quite comprehensive and relational recommendations there that I hope can be attested to or taken up, so that something, one or two, can be done for the city to be better. Zira, you say you are in the city, and I've looked at many media reports that talk about how there is a lot of garbage on the streets. Can you confirm to this? And indeed, how is it affecting the activity of the city? Yes, Zira. I've looked at a series of media reports, and indeed, in some of the places, they show that ever since the Kiteezi incident happened, KCCA is scrambling with where to dump the available garbage, and most of it is left in the city, on the streets, piles after piles. Can you confirm to this? Do we have piles of garbage on the streets? And indeed, how are they affecting the day-to-day activity of the city?
Thank you very much. Of course, we see that from the time the top bosses were sacked and from the time when the incidents happened, we cannot stay the same, and not everything can be the same. So of course we expect slow or at times totally no attendance to garbage. We've already been having those people in place, but still the systems maybe have been weak, and we failed perhaps to manage well our wastes. And then at this point, you do not expect everything to be well. So we expect that. We expect garbage everywhere. And yeah, I think
garbage
it
everywhere.
wasn't by surprise.
It shouldn't be there.
Sorry?
When you say you expect garbage to be everywhere, this shouldn't be the normal. Why do you say you expect
it shouldn't be the normal, but the fact that if we still had the top bosses in place and we still had everything intact, and that was going on. So after whatever happened, and the fact that right now, maybe there is nothing going on in Kiteezi, we no longer have a specific, a particular place where we can put this garbage. What do we expect as a country? Of course, that is it. Because I even feel the Kiteezi tragedy wasn't by surprise. The fact that there were already warnings to the responsible people from 2008. And then it's like even the residents were aware of that, we're expecting something. Because I saw a certain clip where a local leader was saying, a few days before that happened, they had a book. If we're going to a particular area in Kiteezi, you would register. So that in case anything happens, they're able to trace and understand who was there before whatever happened could happen. So meaning everyone was ready for it. Since there are already reports that were warning, so it comes back to us as a country. Do we have any laws? Are we then minding about human security? As a student of peace and conflict studies, it gets back to security. Is that human security? Because that is a potential area for conflict for this country. Because people who have lost their parents, people who have lost their children, it won't sit well with them. It will not. Because right now we are looking at maybe the short-time impact or effect, but in the long run, if someone lost their relative, they will not be okay. In case of any potential opportunity for a demonstration, they'll always jump on, because the fact is it is a threat. And it was like, maybe they didn't give it, they didn't just feel like it was something important to the country, because let's say the earlier speaker talked about maybe the budgets, or perhaps people were saying they had no money, the responsible people were saying they had no money. But I feel like if such reports came in earlier to warn them, budgets can always be shifted, I feel. We can always prioritize which area are we supposed to invest in. I don't think if we have money going, yes, security is important in every case, but if we have a lot of money going, let's say, into military, can't we shift a bit of it? We have a lot of money going to parliament and everything. Can't we shift a bit of it to get back to waste management? I think it is always possible, regardless of the budget constraints and so on. I feel we can always prioritize and understand what is better, or what is a priority in that particular context.
In other words, Zira, what you tell us is that you believe that one of the reasons we've had some of these challenges is because monies are not prioritized to serve the best interest of what is so immediate for the good health or for the health security of the people in this country.
Yeah, partly, but still, I wouldn't say the people who are right now in these very positions maybe could be the issue. But again, I'm feeling like we've been having different people in these positions. I believe the previously sacked boss or the executive director has not served so long. In other regimes, from 2018, when you started having these warnings, what has been done? What has been done? Is waste management anyway a priority to the country? Do the people in power or whatever positions people hold, do they see it as a priority? Do they see it as, because however much we're looking at construction of roads and all sorts of development, when we come back to human security, we cannot do any development if people are not at peace. We cannot.
Thank you so much, Zira, for that call out, and I think it's a rather important one. Madam Nyaribi, look, we're talking about garbage. First of all, has Mbale picked any lessons from the challenges and how they have evolved? But two, how do you relate the garbage crisis to how it affects the environment? Do we have any interlinkages in terms of how we manage our garbage, the environment, and how do we go about that?
I beg your pardon, please.
Okay. Thank you. I say, has Mbale City picked any lessons from the challenges Kampala has experienced relating to the Kiteezi tragedy? And indeed, how does such a tragedy of garbage and indeed the entire system of garbage management in the city and the country relate to the environment, and what challenges do we look at happening arising from garbage mismanagement?
Okay, thank you very much for that. And I would really like to thank the colleagues online that have made submissions that are really very relevant. And I just want to re-echo what they have said, that what actually happened in Kiteezi is a wake-up call for all of us as Ugandans, because we may look at it as something far away in Kiteezi, Kampala, but then day by day, we are all generating waste, especially in the urban centers of this country. So for us as Mbale City, yes, there are many lessons to pick from or to learn from what happened in Kiteezi, and we need to wake up actually and do something about it, because actually the trend countrywide as Uganda is just, dumping the waste, getting it out from the generation sources and dumping it away to a specified location. That is basically what is happening even here in Mbale. We are just dumping. But like colleagues have shared, there are really lessons for us to learn. We need to get out of this mentality of thinking we just need to collect waste and dump it away. This is the time to wake up and be innovative, really, and also borrow some good examples from other, countries. It may not even be Europe, it can be other countries here in Africa. Like I mentioned, The other time, we have Ghana, for instance. I visited Ghana and saw what they were doing. For them, they are not looking at just having one central dumping site where you take your garbage and just heap it there. They have different centers. For instance, what KCCA is doing actually right now is wrong. To say that they are looking for, is it 150 acres of land to just again carry garbage out of the city and dump? They need to have different collection centers. They may not be even very big. For instance, get a center where plastics are delivered. And then if they are delivered to that center, somebody will pick them up for recycling. Get another center where maybe decomposing waste. And also the decomposing waste, you can actually put it into different categories, because you may have decomposing waste that is actually reusable, like one of our colleagues mentioned. You may say all people peeling matoke in the city, all this waste can go to this center, and then people who feed cows and use it for different purposes can pick it up, maybe even at a price, and then use it. So you don't have to have a big piece of land where you're just considering dumping, but just look at different collection centers where different categories of waste can actually be delivered. Actually, you can even make this a business. If I deliver plastic bottles at this collection center and they weigh a certain maybe weight, I earn a certain amount of money. So it can be an income generating activity for the community, and therefore an incentive and motivation for them to do so. As Mbale City, we have learned lessons, but we haven't started implementing much. The mentality right now, or what we are doing right now, is basically dumping. Although we are trying to engage different partnerships, because the problem has been centered around majorly financing. I'm talking from a technical point of view, because garbage management also requires some kind of resources. It requires money for you to even put these things I'm talking about in place. Right now, we're engaging partnerships to see how we can, for instance, we have a partner who has come in and they're interested in raising black soldier flies. And these black soldier flies, the larva from the flies actually consumes garbage and helps to break it down. And at the end of the day, you make, you have compost, but also when the larva dies, it can be processed into protein. This is a feed for chicken and other animals like pigs and so on. So we are looking at having those kind of things to help us reduce on the volumes of the waste, rather than just dumping and piling it up, because this is what is happening. So we have to be innovative to see how we can reduce waste from going into these sites that we call the dumping sites or landfills. Actually, we do not have any landfill in this country. We do not have a landfill as Mbale City. What we have is a dumping site. And every day, big volumes of garbage are going into this site. Mbale as a city now, we generate about 450 tons of garbage on a daily. And we are taking over 100 tons to this small site every day. And once you are dumping, definitely there are so many environmental impacts that arise out of just dumping, because as you are dumping, first of all, you're dumping this waste commingled, it is not sorted. Sometimes you actually find even incidences of medical waste dumped together with, all these other municipal waste. And you have so many people going into these sites. Normally we refer to them as scavengers, but the right word is actually waste pickers. So people go into this waste trying to pick out reusable or recover some materials out of these sites, and definitely there are health-related hazards in these sites. People are inhaling, because as the waste is rotting, you have different gases coming out of this waste. You have methane, you have carbon dioxide coming out of this waste. And the first people who are impacted are actually the people who are picking waste in this site. And then,
yes, Rhoda, I don't know if you're able to hear me. I wanted to ask briefly, for example, you talk about the case of Ghana and how they're managing their situation. Have you had conversations at the level of Mbale city, but also engagements with other cities in the country about such ways of doing it, and what is the response of these individuals when you talk about such or implementing such a model?
Yeah, we've had quite a number of engagements. Actually, in the recent past years, we've been having what we call the East African Waste Management Conference. It has been an annual event. Actually, last year, because of COVID, there was some bit of interruption, and we've not had those conferences. But then we were coming together, stakeholders from East Africa, and discussing and brainstorming about these issues and what we can do. Unfortunately, this has not happened. And from, I think, a technical point of view, sometimes as technical officers, we may have innovative ideas that we bring forth and share with our bosses, who are actually the politicians. But then lack of exposure, I think, sometimes makes them not maybe accept what we are proposing to them. So it's important that sometimes the leadership, our bosses who are the political leaders, need to also have some of these exposures, so that when you are sharing and discussing these issues, they will also understand and believe that it's actually possible to do this. Otherwise, when you speak to them, you present these issues, they seem so abstract and they seem so impossible. But however, we've had engagements with colleagues throughout the country. We've had engagements at our local level here at Mbale City, but then unfortunately, nothing much has taken off. But not to say that we give up. Definitely, we keep trying, and it's unfortunate that we have such a tragedy that happened at Kiteezi, but it really opens up people's minds and opens up people's eyes to see that the way we are doing things is wrong, and it's time for us to change and basically improve the situation of solid waste management in the country.
Thank you so much, Madam Nyaribi Rhoda, Principal Environment Officer, Mbale City. Emily, you're welcome to the show, and I want to pick your view. How is the state of garbage management in your community now, and how is it affecting the day-to-day activity of businesses, of individuals, of settlements in a particular area? Yes, Emily.
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning to you and my fellow panelists. Sorry, I came in late due to some technical glitches, but thank God we are on. Currently, as Mbale City, like Madam Rhoda has stated, we have got some lessons we have learned some lessons from the Kiteezi issue. But I must admit that garbage is still a big issue in our city and in our communities. And as an upcoming city, we still have our people who are used to the rural setting, that when you bring them on board on how we want to manage this garbage as a city, some of them are still resistant, but we are trying to bring them on board. For example, when we started as a city, that time when we joined as our term, we found that the city was so full of garbage in places that had stayed before years. But the current leadership and the technical team put up Keep Mbale City Clean campaign, which Madam Rhoda has not talked about. And that has helped us to at least remove some long time garbage from certain places. And also we have put up an ordinance, which I think Madam Rhoda will also help to give us more light on that, which is in the finishing stages, and we shall soon put it in place. And we know we shall be our cleanest city that used to be. But the way it is affecting our community is that, especially the plastic waste, like we have said, the plastic waste is blocking the drainages because there's no way you cannot, there's no way you can stop the plastic waste, especially if it rains heavily. You'll find it blocking the drainages, you'll find it flowing in our rivers, and it is not really good. And also to come on the point, the mix of medical waste in our dumping sites sometimes also affects those who are scavenging on the waste, and also the community is affected, because you know that if someone has a family and sites and gets affected, does not bring it back to the family, definitely, and community members who are also not there. And also attributed to affecting our revenue, since we are a tourist city, and nobody would wish to go to a place that is not really clean. When you go to a place and the first thing you see is maybe rubbish, and it will not give you a good view for you to go back to that place. And by you not going back means you shall not get the money you would bring in the city. And if you have people who can hear from you and they ask you where they can go, and you discourage them from joining the city, definitely we are losing revenue because of that. But we believe that with whatever we are trying to put in place, once it is well implemented, we are going to have a clean city, and most of the issues shall be sorted. Unless otherwise, I think that is what I had.
Yeah, for that rather situational contribution to the conversation. Zira, look, given all the challenges we have as a city and indeed the country, the president comes out to say that, oh, I think these three people that are the top leaders of the city, that is the executive director, her deputy, and the director of public health, he sacks them and says there are cases of criminal negligence, and he even invites the police to do more investigation into how these people conducted themselves, leading to the tragedy we have. Do you think in the president sacking these individuals, we have a solution to the crisis in the city, especially around garbage?
Thank you very much. Of course, I would like to thank maybe the president still for that move, though it has mixed feelings. We don't know if it was done just to please the citizens, since everyone was waiting. I mean, this happened. Is someone supposed to be negligent about their work, and then they are left to be free without any case opened against them? So it has maybe a bit of mixed feelings. Did he do it because it really had to be done, or just to please the citizens? And then my worry is, by the time they were fired, at least we would have an interim committee to take over, and so that the work still continues to run. I've seen the Lord Mayor lament about currently not council sittings taking place and a lot of things on hold, just because maybe it wasn't prepared. We were not prepared for that, because if an interim committee was put in place first before the president thought of sacking, but then the president is waiting to be advised on who is competent to take on the position as of now, as the adverts go on as he instructed. So are we even sure the people who are going to come in place will be able to make any difference? How sure are we even they are competent?
Is it in your view, is it a challenge of individuals or a challenge of the institution of the KCCA?
Sorry?
Is it a challenge of the individuals, or is it a challenge of the institution of KCCA?
Generally, I would say KCCA, but still individuals, because currently I feel we lack personal accountability or individual accountability. Most of these people assuming these positions, I feel they inherit problems, but still they fail to solve the problems that they have inherited and still go on to create other problems because the persons who left before them do not account for whatever went on. And the fact that these people have also been fired, it is not a solution because they've been fired, but they have left their problems back. And the person who is coming in, how are they even taking over? They're inheriting problems that they don't know. That is a bad thing. You're inheriting something you do not understand. You don't know how it came into place because it will take time for them again to study the problems, how they came in. And so we give it years again before we get maybe now we find solution because the people who have left have just been sacked. That is it. They did not, they were not maybe given an opportunity or they were not put in place to tell them, you have to rectify whatever went wrong. When you came in place, what did you find? Have you made more injuries or damages? Have you improved something? I mean, that is also a question. And I'm also feeling like, because I saw that top bosses, none of them, I think we had no youth. So I'm feeling like, what if the president thinks of mixing up? If we are to have maybe, these people are going to be replaced. If we're to have two people in that particular, maybe different age groups, but again, he considers of having a youth as one of those three positions are going to be looked at for adverts. Because I feel these people are no longer maybe being more innovative. They're used to their systems, and we are not expecting anything new from them. Trust me, because they're using the very, maybe the very techniques and ideas that they had in the different years are the same ideas they're having right now. But remember, the generations are changing. We're having new wastes every day. Maybe they were used to banana leaves, how to dispose of and manage banana leaves and everything. Right now, we are having new things on board. So when you have such people who have been having ideas from different generations, and that's where ideas are carried into the current generation, I feel like it's also something that will disturb us.
Thank you so much, Zira, for that. Rhoda, look, Zira here brings in a couple of issues, one of them being the generational challenges that could affect people's means to innovate around the emerging challenges of the modern world. What is your view of that? And by extension, how do we ensure now we have people, not just in Kampala, in the entire country, that one, are accountable, but two, competent enough and efficient enough to see that they deliver the services they are put in office for effectively and indeed to the satisfaction of the people they are serving?
Yeah, thank you very much, moderator. First of all, maybe what I would like to put clear is that in most cases, these persons or these directors that have been fired don't work as individuals. Actually, they have a whole big team behind them, and they're just at the top of the department, for instance, maybe to take major decisions. So you may think that the people that are working below them is a mix of people. You may have the young people in there, you may have, so they have different categories of persons working with them. So it's not just one individual that is actually, running the entire department. So that one needs to be noted. And of course, it is good that you have a mix of all these different categories of persons, people with different exposure, people with different, knowledge and ideas, so that you bring together this whole group to make the right decisions and to implement the right activities that can prevent such tragedies from happening. So what I want to say is that also, as managers, we need to involve the entire value chain. Sometimes you may be seated in offices as technical persons, thinking that you have the best ideas, but when you go into the communities, you may find that people in the communities are quite innovative and they have very good ideas that you can actually, pick up and even roll over to other communities to support. So you need to engage the entire value chain in waste management, starting with the communities themselves. How do you teach them, for instance, to sort the waste at that level, and then make use of it or deliver it somewhere where it can be made use of. And then two, you need to have the right people that can guide the communities on what to do. Because, for instance, you may think waste is just a function of public health, it's just a function of environment, but it's beyond that. Bring on board everybody. The community development officers are quite vital in sensitizing and creating awareness on what people can do. So, like I'm saying, they need to involve the entire value chain so that this whole issue can be handled right from the lowest level up to the technical level where a decision is made. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rhoda. Emily, look, we are in a situation where people lost lives and they have families and they have children, they have husbands, they have wives, they have relatives. Do you think the sacking of the top leadership gives some sort of recovery, some sort of comfort to these people? And do you think they feel that indeed something has been done to make them get justice to how they lost their people, but also the property they lost there? Yes, Emily.
No amount of sacking, even all of the KCCA staff, can make these people comfortable when they have lost their loved ones, when they have lost their properties. I know the president did this, like my sister Hajat, so I came in late, I've not noticed her name, said that the president might have done it to please the public, but when you go in depth, it cannot give relief to the people who have lost their loved ones and the properties. What I think the president should really have done, apart from only the technical team, should have also brought on board the Lord Mayor, who you say is now lamenting because he's not having sittings, but as a representative of the people who knew that this thing was happening, what did he do as a person to make sure that the situation would not go to that extent? So to my own understanding, these people cannot be relieved to feel that they are having justice, unless now the president comes up and makes sure that because it is the government that caused these people to suffer, they have to be compensated. Sacking these people are not compensating them is not helping anything. Let them be compensated, maybe relocated to another place, and they put for them in place whatever they lost if they have counted the value, and also some bit of compensation for the loss of their loved ones so they cannot recover. But take on the orphans maybe to cater for their needs, education, clothing, and other things. And that maybe would bring some sort of relief. But mere sacking and following up on the criminal investigations and whatsoever, yeah, I don't think it can really bring some justice to people. But also my key point is the Lord Mayor must resign. The Lord Mayor must resign.
What a hot one. Thank you so much, Emily, for that.
Yes, because he's the supervisor and the representative of the people. Now, if you have left your people to die, who is going to elect you in 2026? And you are here lamenting because the KCCA top leaders have been sacked and you are not having meetings.
He says he does not have power to implement the policies.
Wanje?
He says he does not have the power to implement the policies. He says it is the responsibility of KCCA, the ED, the Public Health Department, and so on to do this work.
Then it means even his office and KCCA is irrelevant because he's there as a top supervisor. And when you are the supervisor, it means you will make sure your people are implementing the policies in place. If they are not implementing, it means you will find out the reasons why they are not implementing so that you can find solutions together. I think that is my point. You cannot, it is true for us. For us
Thank you
as
so
political leaders,
complete that. Complete that.
for us as political leaders, it is true that we have eyes on, it is off. But where you see that the hands are off and things are going wrong, you have to bring in whatever it takes to make sure that your people, you not lose your people, because your hands must be off. You bring in other people to help you to ensure that that thing is implemented. That is really my take, nothing much.
Thank you so much for that. And before I come back to Zira, Ms. Nyaribi, how is, in Kampala here, every time we have comments and reactions, and Emily here talks about it, there's always a contradiction between the technical staff and the political staff, and times when they agree are very, very limited. How is the situation like in Mbale? Do you agree with with the political people, and indeed, how should this relationship look like?
Thank you very much. Actually, for the case of Mbale, I must really say that we are having a very good working relationship with our politicians, because where the problem actually normally occurs, the problem normally arises from lack of information. If you are, of course, the politicians are our supervisors, but then if you work as technical people and then hold on to information, you do not give the political leaders information, then believe me, you are going to have a problem, because then they will draw their own conclusions and then you fall out and you can never work as a team. So what we try to do here in Mbale, of course, there are moments where we disagree here and there, but then what we try to do is to have regular meetings with these politicians where we give them information. We give them information because they are the ones actually at the end of the day that do, for instance, allocation of resources. They are the ones who you make proposals of what is to be budgeted for, but then they make the allocations for money. So unless you come out clearly and explain to them and make them understand, then you'll have a problem if you don't do that. So we normally try to do that, and I must say that we have a very clear-headed mayor who is the top politician here at Mbale City, Mr. Kasim Namgali, and he's a very exposed man and very understanding. So most cases we have really agreed with our political team because we have meetings, we give them information. The only challenge actually that is happening in Mbale and maybe in other local governments is the issue of limited resources. Just counting on the local revenue, you know very well that most of the revenue sources that are even easier to be collected have been taken over by central government. URA collects those monies that are obvious. So the difficult monies that are collected, the different taxes that are collected from the public are the ones they have left for local governments. And you know that people don't want to pay taxes. People always want to evade taxes. So it becomes difficult to collect all the monies you anticipate to have, and therefore it becomes difficult for you to implement most of the plans that you make. But otherwise, once you give the politicians information all the time, accountability of the limited resources they have allocated to you, you are good to go. And for now, in Mbale City, I think we are moving very well. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. And I think it's the vote of confidence into the political leadership of Mbale. We thank them that they are doing a good job. Friends, I think our time is moving really fast, but I want you now to talk to me about something. Look, we talk about the garbage when you're in Kampala here. We discuss things like potholes, you discuss drainage systems, you discuss the security bit of it, you discuss the buildings and the planning and very many things we talk about in the city. In your own way of looking at things, what kind of city would you want to see? If I know we have the people in Mbale and I have people in Kampala here, what kind of city, what aspects you want to see in a city and you say, I'm proud of this as my capital city or as my regional city, Mbale, and what are some of those key aspects each one of you would want to see in their city? And I'll start with you, Zira. What do you think is missing in Kampala and should be put there to make it a better city. Yes, Zira.
Thank you very much. Of course, currently you cannot escape. Going back to say we shall concentrate on what is in the discussion rooms and all streets right now, which is waste management. I feel like, first of all, we have a lot of unprofessionalism in waste disposal. What happened in Kiteezi was people would dump their, waste was being dumped, but not being compacted. I mean, we have professionals in waste management. We have young people who are now studying waste management and other different courses that are relevant to that field. Can we really have competent people and professional people in place to guide such that we avoid at least non-occurrence? We are sure there won't be any occurrence of the same tragedy that happened. Besides that, I think if we do not take that route, I feel months later or not very long time from now, we shall see the same thing happening. So I feel we need focused leaders, as Rhoda was saying, sorry, Emily, about the Lord Mayor. We cannot, once we the citizens are seeing the Lord Mayor lamenting, we shall ask ourselves, how is there any difference between me and the Lord Mayor? I'm lamenting, he is lamenting. He says he has no powers. Yet in my position, I feel he has positional power. Maybe there is something he can do better than me. But if he is also lamenting, if he says he has no powers, then me as a citizen, who has trust in him, where does that leave me? So we need a city that has a well-managed waste system. We need a sustainable management system put in place, because when you see, whenever KCCA is trying to say, maybe we can go to Katavi and find solution to that side where we can be using as we wait for what happens or whatever solutions that are coming in place after the occurrence of the Kiteezi tragedy. We see that Katawi people are like, please no, we are not welcoming you, because they know they don't not have a system and plan in place to manage their waste. So in case the same thing happens, and the people were in Mukono still where KCCA says they purchased land, the people of Mukono have also seemed to be demonstrating about KCCA dumping waste to that side, because we have no clear plan in place for waste management. Even when we are to jump and go into a different place, we shall still do what we did in Kiteezi. So I feel, but also on the case of the law, I don't know, because there have been also accusations of people occupying a land that is meant for landfill, or that was reserved for the garbage or waste. So in my case, I'm like, or in my understanding, I'm like, these people have been occupying that land for years. Is there anyone who is responsible to see that no one encroaches on that land? Because if you tell us people are encroaching on the land, is there any laws? Are there structures in place put in place to see that no one encroaches on that land? Because people are settling in places where they're not supposed to settle, and later after 30 years or 40 they're evicted. And where are we in all these years that people are occupying those places? We have structures in place as a country to at least ensure such encroachments do not occur. Or we wait for everything to go on, and then we shall jump on everything that comes and say we are compensating. Because now I saw the Prime Minister Nabanja saying the president is pledging to give whoever lost their relatives 5 million, and those who sustained injuries 1 million. Are we selling off our relatives? Is that a solution? Imagine that money is instead put into creating a sustainable system or management, sustainable management of waste. Want it made impact, because today they are giving us 5 million if I've lost a relative, injured 1 million. Say if I have one who died and one who is injured, that is 6 million for me. But then next time I'm going to lose the same people, different relatives. So are we selling off our relatives? So I think now we need a city that has competent people, and I pray that at least they look into giving these spaces more to the young people. However, one of the fellow participants or panelists said, it's not only that the bosses are working alone at the top, but they are working, the young people, they have young people working under them. But I feel a young person working under all these different generations isn't so easy for them to make an impact. There is no you're going to convince most of these old people that, look, I can do ABCD. But was given, at least we need a space. If the president is looking at appointing, at least we need, of the 3 positions we know are vacant now, we shall need at least a young person, because it is actually easy for us to relate and maybe share ideas than us working totally under them. We appreciate to have positions under the big people where we need guidance, but right now we need innovation. We need technology to come on board, because all these issues are coming in because we are using the old systems that are not applicable now. So I think we need a city that is really, they keep saying, young people are the leaders of tomorrow. No, we know what to be the leaders of today. So I think now we should look at that, and I'm sure we shall cause impact. If a young person is given a position on those 3 posts that are really vacant, I feel we shall have an impact, because we shall have new innovations. The 1990s solutions, not the 18s and 70s, at least, whatever. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Zira, for that. And I think some of those ideas, if not all of them, can be picked up by the people in charge and see that they're implemented to create the kind of city you want to see. Yes. Madam Rhoda, what kind of city do you want Mbale City to be?
Thank you very much. When I, envision what I want to see Mbale City look like, I just want to see Mbale City that is very well planned, a city that is clean. And then maybe just to elaborate a little bit on the well planned is that a city that has well built infrastructure, and of course infrastructure, we're looking at different, infrastructure, the road networks, and even the way we have zoned out the different uses of the land within our cities. I would really envision to see Mbale City also as a city that has teamwork, where we have the technical, political, and the community members working together, and also looking at a city that has less or no corruption, a city that has zero tolerance to corruption, because in most cases, corruption is what brings us down, because the meager resources that we collect and maybe we would allocate to use for to offer services to our people, if they are diverted and not put to the right use, then we will have such challenges coming up. So I envision Mbale City as a city that is really having zero tolerance to corruption, and then also us focusing our planning to the critical sectors that contribute towards sustainable development in the city. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Nyaribi. And finally, from you, Emily, what kind of city do you want to see Kampala or Mbale become?
I will specifically talk about Mbale City because it is currently my city. I would like to see a very clean, rubbish-free city where everybody will walk or move happily without any issues of that along the road. I would also love to see a healthy and a wealthy population as a result of a clean city. I would also love to see an environmentally sustainable city with green spaces. And I would also love to see both technical and political leaders who are accountable for their actions in our city. And lastly, a city with good drainage systems, since we are in a flood-prone area. Those are what I would like to see my city have, the key areas of concentration.
Madam,
thank you.
Thank you so much for those recommendations, for those views. I hope someone out there can be able to pick on them and have them implemented. Thank you so much for the views and for making time for the show today. We appreciate you so much. Zira, thank you so much for the views and for making time to join the conversation. And indeed, Madam Rhoda Nyaribi, thank you so much for making time for the conversation and indeed for the amazing views you put to the table today, and indeed to our viewers. Thank you so much for the conversation, for joining us, and for always joining the Community Voices show on Civic Space TV. Special thanks to the technical team, and indeed special thanks to the Center for Constitutional Governance for always putting this together. From the Community Voices, we continue to send our voices to the regions of the world where there is discomfort, where there is war, where there is instability. Talk about the neighboring countries. You have the DRC, talk about Southern Sudan, talk about Sudan in the north, and a series of other countries, including Lebanon, including Gaza, including Israel, including Ukraine and Russia. We call for peace, and indeed we hope peace can be restored in those regions of the world. From us, we say good evening, and may you have freedom always.